We're nuar. We are a young emerging architecture office from Zurich. We started 2024 together with the competition win for our primary school in Zwoz. And we come from, let's say, different backgrounds, and we are kind of connected in what we find interesting, and which also then, we use to generate our architecture from. And maybe what is also, I would say, unique about us is that we come from different places, we bring different experiences together and still manage to have, connect them together in one architectural language, I would say. And we also, Marco, Stefan, Guido, Iso, who cannot be here today because he's expected to be a parent, and me, Adrian.
So I could read the jury report from the competition you just won in 2025, the School of Bülach. And reading the report, I got to know that actually you used a reference to describe the project, or you will actually tell me more about this. So it's a book from Max Frisch, and it's Mein Name ist Kantenbein. And it's a story about identity. It's also a lot about the question, what if? And it's kind of peculiar because usually you would kind of use an architectural reference, but you decided to use one from literature. So one thing I agreed when I talked about this interview with Andrea Nardi, that is the co-director of Archi, is that we didn't want to know just the technical side about your projects and your work, but also your personalities. And that's why I'm starting the conversation with this, because I think from your ideas, your values, we will understand more why you make certain choices in your projects. So, who's the expert? You had it on your desk, no?
Maybe I could take also this question because it's something that we really think about in detail. It's this what if, as you said, it's we live in a, let's say, exciting to say it positively times, and there we think about, okay, how would our architecture look like nowadays to kind of form answers to the questions of our time. It's like the city is getting more dense, living is more expensive, energy is getting also more expensive, resources are getting more scarce. And then for us, what is interesting, or what we're trying to ask ourselves, is how can we then transform these questions into architecture and not only have let's say generic answers, but very specific answers also that connect to the local identities. In Bülach, for us, that was working with the idea we need to extend a school that is heritage protected and is school for this high-tech architecture for apprenticeships in plastic, metal, and electricity. And then for us it was kind of clear that we kind of wanted to do something that connects to also this task, like the working with metals. And then we thought, okay, how can we do that? And then we kind of developed this system out of reused elements that are kind of scattered around and being disregarded, and we wanted to use them to give them a new identity in this school. And as you said, the topic of the identity for us, I think, is also every time we work on a new project, we try to also ask ourselves in our practice, what is the identity that would also kind of fit this task. And then while working on the project, for us also then sometimes I think the context changes, and then we learn more not only about what would be from our point of view the right answer to these questions, but maybe also for us what are the pressing questions. I think that's kind of like a dual way, that in the end of the process where you design a building, optimally you defined your question a bit more and you found the answer to that question.
Maybe what we found interesting in the last projects we developed, it was to try to search for a narrative in these projects for us to design, in the sense of build up a story that makes sense from a lot of point of view, also with incidents that arrive, for example, this topic of construction, that is also something we like a lot and we develop a lot, maybe too much sometimes, and we go really in depth in this because also builds up bridges with the user. So from technical aspect to social or like personal narrative aspect, so try to drive or delve into different aspects that cross together. And so this is for us a bit building up a narrative that makes sense, that is sometimes surprising, sometimes can also be very effective. What is needed is needed. So without having too many preconceptions in this.
This project, I kind of see how actually it fits to the way you usually design. It's really clear how your skills really matched what they were asking for. And I see you also do a lot of schools, so I guess those are also something you're interested in. Would you also be interested to do housing?
I think we did a lot of school because also it was at that moment when we started, there was a need for school. There is right now in Switzerland, at least in the northern part of Switzerland, a really huge need of schools, and that's why we started with them. We find the topic amazing, I would say. I think for us is super interesting to think about how future kids will live and learn in a space that then now also winning the competition maybe is going to be created by us. So to think about, because in the end in a school the space where the kids they spend a lot of time there, so it's really important. It's a really nice Aufgabe, how to say, so topic to do. But actually we would like also to do housing, and we are starting with some housing as well. We started with school, and now we are trying to develop also other topic. But actually we did also competition for a tower, for Alterswohnheim in Zurich. The Gesundheitszentrum also in Zurich for kids with disabilities, so that they need apartment space for this special school. So it was also a kind of special program. But in general, what interests us is actually to have an interesting topic to work with.
On the other side, we are all connected to teaching somehow, or didactic, research didactic, more on university level, but almost all of us, we are working on it. So it's kind of natural also to think, obviously on a different age. And we don't have a preconception on other topics, I would say, no?
I was also thinking now, it's interesting because it was something we are developing, but we realize actually school projects are always based on a kind of a really clear structural system, because you need also kind of big rooms for the classrooms and so on. This allows us also to work on a topic that we also like, the construction system, also to think about new structural systems somehow. So it's also an interesting topic. Not that in housing there is not this need, but you have smaller spans, and so it's also a challenge in schools building also to think about the structure of it. And this is also something that we like to think about, I would say.
Staying on Bülach, what I noticed and also I read in the Jury-Bericht is that the new building and the existing one have a pretty high difference, and they noticed it, but also they praised a lot the fact that the building has a very small footprint. Like they decided at the end this was more important than maybe another project that had a bigger footprint, so the building were more similar somehow, but still like it's not what we need right now. So it actually makes sense to go a bit more in height.
Yeah, maybe I can start and you can add, because this was something that I think was the part we discussed the most. We are really scared about or we thought about a lot about the relationship of the existing, because it's really like 1.5 stories tall. It's really flat, and then we decided, I think in the end, that also the connection between not only the building is protected, but also the outside spaces that are mentioned in the protective letter, and so the connection between the landscape and the existing school for us is really important. So then also creating a project which would have a bigger footprint would kind of, let's say, limit the connection with the landscape and the existing school. And for us, I think it was always the question also, this existing building is, at that time in the 70s was like this high-tech architecture, like the contemporary, let's say, answer to the questions. And then we thought, okay, how would a building like this look like nowadays? And then you're confronted with, again, the questions of nowadays, and what is the identity of a building nowadays, and how does this relate to the existing building? And then for us, it was kind of a logical approach, or it made sense in the narrative to say, okay, we kind of, have this flat existing building, and we turn kind of the horizontal layout into a vertical layout, and this also gives us the flexibility to free a lot of the plot from tasks connected to the school. So we can kind of keep the ensemble in its character, but we add another volume to it, which in the bigger urban context is also, it makes sense because there's kind of this campus situation where two already existing bigger scale schools kind of set the frame of reference to then, let's say, close the urban situation with our last, let's say, part of the ensemble. And then you have a ensemble that's made out of the 3 buildings that connect together as the existing school that form the campus, but still they have a large openness to the landscape, and they're dense. So for us, it made sense in this mixture.
Yeah, I think funny enough, we have with the material hanged. And what Adrian was explaining is in this sketch, for example, down there, so the 3 big buildings that create a sort of campus space in between different schools. And what he said just before it was, okay, the very first interest for us was to make the open spaces of the school in contact with this very beautiful hill that is in the picture above. So this was what, let's say, the first intuition was, okay, we want to allow the people being there have a contact with the landscape somehow. And this made several, let's say, justification or ideas that supported the risk of making this high building, but still in section respecting the idea of a sort of open composition, because the existing school has an open composition. It's not a courtyard, it's not something that's composed by pavilions, let's say. Yeah. And then we decided, okay, we had high pavilion somehow. And another thing, maybe an anecdote, we spent quite a lot of time at the beginning just redrawing the existing school with a very detailed 3D that there is not visible in this other, in this other material, but underneath we basically redid everything beam by beam, piece by piece. It's really trying to incorporate not, let's say, the mimesis of the form of the actual existing building, but the spirit in terms of composition of several elements. So for us, it's, I don't know if we arrived to it, but it was the idea to continue the spirit of the existing building and not the actual shape of it.
Yeah, maybe just a quick anecdote that the building being, let's say, then also so high, I think the main reason was, as Marco was stated, let's say, if you can say like this, an architectural reason, and not to, let's say, make the most compact footprint. We did not start, okay, let's make the most compact footprint and see where we arrive. It was kind of more like a approach that started all at the same time. We have, let's say, the knowledge about the ramifications and let's say what different layouts and forms mean, also in terms of environmental friendly, etc. But they're all always developed with the narrative all at once. It's not just okay, this is the truth, and then we develop something with it. It's always everything it's like depending on each other, and there's not one truth always in projects.
But I mean, we also take risks, I would say, in the sense, because it now sounds, was everything completely clear, we won. I mean, we are in a process, planning something, taking risky decisions sometimes, because also we said, okay, this could be really high as a building, but of course we found out and we try to argument that it really has the campus picture, having these other 3 buildings around. And of course you never know. You try to, for us, we're pretty clear, no? We were kind of clear about the strategy, but of course it also depends on you never know, and also this balance between the decision you have to take about because of course it was asked a lot of sustainability somehow, in the sense to have the canton was asking about this values, about there has to be certain under a certain level this new SIA norm, and this of course brings also that you try to understand better what does it means, and but you have to answer to it with architecture, and so somehow you want to try to, because also we believe in this, to create as less as possible underground elements, but this brings that you have a higher building, a bigger volume, and this in the way to make it fit, you try to be as much as compact as possible, but of course you cannot just squeeze everything as it is. You have to find a reason, so an architectural plan that works. So you are always between all these limits, and you try to react and to take some risk on it and to solve it as the best way as possible. Because we also realized, for example, we did another competition maybe with the same approach, but in another some kind of questions, same kind of try solution, or the same process we have, but there, for example, those ideas were less weighted, for example, and so you need also the right clients, the right jury to understand.
I think it's important to underline this, that actually is, of course, from one side, this project wouldn't be realized. So of course there should be the right people to ask the right questions, and also the right client, the right jury, but also an openness.
In case of Bülach, we were surprised because we thought we took too many risks. I would really say this, no? Urbanistic construction is very complex, and so on and so forth. But this was surprisingly working. In other cases, maybe we took fewer risks and we didn't succeed, and so that's the funny part.
Yeah, so the right project at the right moment.
Yeah, probably.
But
let's see, we have to build it. Then we will see.
There I had this word in mind that is compromises, and also adapt to what you just said. I wonder how many compromises you will have to do, but in general, sustainability, I see it every day, in every field, so not only architecture, but it's really a lot about compromising.
It's this huge topic also, what is sustainability right now, because everyone is speaking about it, and
there is a lot of greenwashing.
There is also
it's
a lot of
everything,
greenwashing.
Marketing is everywhere.
For us, we don't start with sustainability. We try to have different inputs, trying to understand, in a case of our competition, the program, the context, the urbanistic point of view of it, the program, and of course we have our feeling, our intuition, and maybe our understanding of what for us sustainability is, that has many ramifications. It goes with which kind of material use, how much the shape of a building, how much you dig into how the structure look like, the flexibility, the durability so sustainability is such a huge topic that can be in the end architecture in itself. So yeah, we always is a bit skeptical about speaking about sustainability.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
funny because especially
Yeah.
not especially me, but some of us are very into this topic, but probably the more skeptical ones in a way. Also, so to say, the more critical in the sense of okay, but yeah, let's discuss it. What makes sense? What is it? And this is very fresh in our discussions because it sorts out always a new doubt, never like a fixed solution. We discuss a lot about reuse because obviously we have projects with reuse. We know, or especially I would say Guido and Adrian, I look at you, but because they are more into it maybe, and they also know the problems of it. So this is always the topic, but at the same time, this offers to us new possibilities of creating spaces that are, let's say, unexpected. Maybe it's too much, but just to say things that are not conventional in a way, and to also justify them and to explore them in depth. This is also a very good track that we are.
And maybe I can add a bit on that. I think also that, for us it's kind of really important that it's not only, let's say, you do reuse because you want to do reuse, but we do something that then, has, gives identity to a project that is then incorporated to a new whole. It's not something that you can just do and you say, okay, let's just change it last minute. It's something that we think together it has the same weight as a lot of other aspects of the project, and it's carried along the way, and we try to then transform it into architecture, and then the result, the architecture, has to be so that it's unique in the sense of the incorporation of the materials if we do reuse, but also to answer to the clients. Like when we were at the in Bülach at the opening, where we were looking at the existing building, we were really inspired because the dean of the school was there, and he was explaining, the school, it really reminds me of when I did my apprenticeship. You can smell the gas of the soldering, the liquid molten metal. You see the texture, the Pirelli floor. When I come into the school, I feel like I'm right there again. And then we said, okay, we cannot do a wooden school here. Like, this has to be like he described it, like his experience was back when he was really studying for his job. And then this kind of motivated us to go and see, okay, let's do some research and try to see if there's material that we could use that on the one side would fulfill this, let's say, desire of us to create identity within the, let's say, metallic context, to try to generate a space that is described as described by him. And on the other side, how can we fulfill, let's say, our request or our desire to ourselves to be sustainable, and how to do it in a sustainable way. Sustainability is also how well it's used by the people then study there. You said, we build spaces for children, and they need to be somehow, let's say in the best case, inspired by their surroundings, and it's also a form of, let's say, social sustainability, to just create exciting spaces for kids. And this is something that it's not really expressible in values. So I think there's also this situation that you have some sort of sustainable aspects that are not being able to being expressed in numbers, but that you still have to consider in this process when you try to make a new building.
Well, I think we're at the end of this long interview. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Just want to know if there is something you want to add, also looking forward to the future. Let's say if you see your studio that of course is new, but the role it could embrace in this architectural world.
I was thinking about when we did the first project together, we were we dared a lot because we had nothing to lose, no? And I wonder how to keep this spirit that we have to, I think, till now we could most of the time have it. I don't know, and I think it's something we should try to keep it and make it also sustainable in terms of economics and everything, which is not obvious, because obviously if you have a second job and everything is easy, then when it becomes more serious. But this about not feeling like a pressure that you can lose something, and so be proactive, propositive, provocative maybe, or I don't know. This is I think it's something we should listen by.
It's good.
It's a wish. It's a
My
wish.
Maybe also connected to it that to me, and I hope I speak for everybody, I really enjoy working. I also really enjoy working together in this, nuar open collective, and I also enjoy the architecture that we do, because we embrace this process in trying to transform things into, let's say, a new meaning or a new identity or architecture. And this might be also something that is easy to lose when you question yourself, okay, we need to somehow do different architecture, or fit more the needs of the client than what we think is the right approach. And would be a bit more to add on what Marco already said, but also to keep the joy in doing what we're doing, and don't start to worry about if we're doing the right things. Of course, with a healthy, let's say, aspect of reflecting what you're doing, but do more of, I guess, also what you enjoy, or keep doing what you enjoy doing.